The Thornback encampment sprawled across the frozen ridge like scattered boulders, each dwelling carved from ice and reinforced with the bones of great frost beasts. Ira had been among them for 3 cycles of the twin moons now, the only human in a settlement of beings who wore their natural armor like a birthright. She pulled her thin thermal blanket tighter around her shoulders as the evening wind cut through the camp. The material was advanced by human standards, polymer fibers designed to trap heat efficiently, but compared to the thick pelts and natural insulation of the Thornbacks, it looked pitifully inadequate. "The soft skin shivers again," rumbled Garnock, the hunt leader, his voice like grinding glaciers. His massive frame was covered in overlapping plates of natural chitin, each segment as thick as Ira's fist. Perhaps we should have left her at the trading post. Ira had heard variations of this comment every night since arriving. She was the expedition's xenobiologist, sent to document Thornback culture and survival techniques in preparation for human colonization of similar ice worlds. The Thornbacks had agreed to host her, but their hospitality came with a hefty dose of contempt. "The human's covering is like spider silk," laughed Venna, her crystalline spines catching the light of the fire. "Does her kind truly survive on such weak protection?" Ira kept her expression neutral, though her fingers were already going numb despite the blanket. The Thornbacks couldn't understand, that humans had conquered cold not through biological adaptation, but through innovation. Her blanket wasn't weak, it was engineered. But try explaining materials science to beings who considered tools a form of cheating against nature. "We adapt," Iris said simply, her breath forming clouds in the frigid air. "We always have." From the shadows near the communal fire pit, 2 small figures watched the exchange with curious, wide eyes. Hiko and Moreau, juvenile Thornbacks barely past their first molt, had been following Ira since her arrival. Unlike the adults, their chitin was still soft, their natural armor incomplete. They shivered too, though none of the elders seemed to notice or care. That night, as Ira retreated to her small shelter, little more than a windbreak carved into the ice, the cold bit deeper than ever. The twin moons hung low and full, their combined light casting the world in shades of blue and silver. She wrapped herself in her blanket, drew her knees to her chest, and tried to ignore the violent shivering that racked her body. She was dozing fitfully when she heard it, the soft scrape of something being dragged across ice that Ira's eyes snapped open. In the moonlight, she could make out 2 small silhouettes struggling with something large and heavy. Hiko and Moreau were dragging a massive frostwolf pelt, working together to move something that was clearly too big for either of them alone. "What are you doing?" Ira whispered, careful not to wake the camp. Hiko looked up, her young eyes reflecting the moonlight. "You are cold," she said in the simple, direct way of children everywhere. "We bring warmth." "The adults mock your covering," Moreau added, his voice barely above a whisper. "But we see you shake. Like us, before our plates harden." Ira's throat tightened. "You'll get in trouble. That pelt looks valuable." "It was our mother's," Hiko said softly. "She fell in the last great hunt. Father says we must earn our own pelts, grow strong without her." "But," she trailed off, looking at the ground. "But you're not strong yet either." Ira finished gently. Moreau nodded. "The elders say weakness must be burned away by cold, that those who need extra covering are not worthy of the clan." "We are not worthy," Hiko whispered. "And neither are you. So we should share unworthiness together." Ira felt something break open in her chest. She crawled out from under her thin blanket and helped the cubs drag the heavy pelt into her shelter. It was massive, easily large enough for all 3 of them. The fur was thick and luxurious, still carrying the faint scent of the Thornback who had worn it. "Your mother must have been formidable," Ira said as they settled beneath it together. "She was the strongest," Hiko said with quiet pride. "Until she wasn't." They lay in silence for a moment, warmth slowly seeping into Ira's frozen limbs. The cubs pressed against her sides, their soft chitin cool at first, but gradually warming. "Can I tell you something?" Ira said. "About humans and cold?" Both cubs looked up at her with interest. "My species evolved in warm places. We had no thick fur, no armored plates, no natural defense against ice and snow. By all rights, we should have died when the climate changed and the world froze. But we didn't, because of your thin blankets." Moreau asked skeptically. Ira laughed softly. Because we did something your elders don't understand. We didn't try to become stronger than the cold. We made the cold work for us. We created fire, built shelters, sewed clothes from the animals we hunted. We were weak, so we became clever. And our cleverness made us stronger than any natural armor ever could. The elders say tools are for the weak, Hiko murmured. Maybe, Iris said. But the weak who use tools survive. The strong who scorn them often don't. Strength isn't just about what your body can endure. It's about adapting, cooperating, using what you have to overcome what you lack. She looked down at both cubs. You two understood something tonight that your elders have forgotten. You saw a problem, me freezing, you vulnerable, and you solved it. You worked together. You shared resources. That's not weakness. That's survival. Miro's eyes widened. You mean, we did a human thing? You did a smart thing, Ira corrected. Which, yes, is very human. But it's also very Thornback. Your mother didn't become the strongest by being born strong. She became strong by learning, adapting, surviving. This pelt you carry? It's proof of that. Hiko pressed closer, her small form finally warm. Will you teach us more human things? If you teach me Thornback things, Ira replied. Deal? Deal? Both cubs whispered. When morning came and Garnock discovered his missing cubs, he found them curled with the human under his deceased mate's pelt, all three sleeping soundly in the warm cocoon they'd created together. His first instinct was rage, at the theft, at the weakness, at the violation of tradition. But then he saw something that gave him pause. His cubs, who had shivered and struggled since their mother's death, looked peaceful, healthy. Their soft chitons seemed to gleam with new vitality. And the human, who he had expected to find frozen or begging to leave, looked equally content. Garnock said nothing. He simply walked away, his mind troubled by uncomfortable questions about strength, survival, and the strange ways the universe taught old warriors new lessons. That night, when the cold came again, no one mocked Ira's thin blanket. And when Kiko and Moreau appeared with the pelt once more, several other young Thornbacks followed, dragging their own coverings to share. The elders watched in silence, perhaps beginning to understand that there were many kinds of strength, and the greatest of all was knowing when to adapt.